Greetings. This is BMO Brian Morse 16791, and this is my in the bag from basically a nobody. All right, we're gonna kick things off here with putters. I used to throw with KC ABRs. Now I kind of switched up and went with the two-time Ricky Wysocki Latitude daggers. I have 4 of them. I have 2 blue ones, 2 black ones, and these are in the 0 medium plastic. So kind of grippy, but not like floppy. They've been effective. Next we're going to move to some approach stuff. I'm throwing the Retro Pure from Latitude. Retro Pure is kind of my straight to turnover putter. My other short approach disc is the Warden. I have this in the Fusion plastic. Like to get it, keep it edge up. Let it float in with some hyzer, from straight to hyzer. This is more my Anheuser flip. All right, so I'm gonna throw these discs in the order that I just presented them. The first are gonna be the 2 Ricky Wysocki daggers. And I don't drive the daggers, I pretty much only putt with them. Here I'm throwing the Pure. You'll see it has a nice straight line, slight turnover. And lastly, we have the Fusion Warden, which I'm using for short hyzers. Short approach disc. I'm gonna work my way from putters to approach / mid-range, going from least stable to most stable. So the least stable disc I'm using right now is a Retro Fuse, and this is a mid-range, a turnover disc. It's unstable. I can put a lot of hyzer on it, make it go straight very easily, or I can play a nice long or short turnover, like 200 to 250, 260 feet. But a nice approach disc, can put a ton of hyzer on it and still hyzer it some. And then I use the Opto version of the Fuse as well. The Opto version is just a hair more stable for me. Otherwise it flies pretty much the same. Almost kind of like a Comet would fly. It even feels a little bit more domier than the Retro plastic. Up next I have the Innova Champion Cobra. I currently have 3 of these. These are probably my #1, just snap it, make it go straight disc with very little fade at the end. Very trustworthy for those up shots. Really like to use it in the wooded areas of courses. Another newer disc to my lineup is the VIP Gatekeeper. I have 3 of these discs. I really like this pink one the most. I use it for up shots, for drives. It is my money up shot, like 150, 200 feet when I just need to, have something hyzer it in and just get right to the pin so I don't have to putt. That's my disc right now. Again, we're gonna work our way through these discs the same way. We're gonna go first with the Retro Fuse. Retro Fuse on a slight hyzer. Went pretty straight with a little bit of turnover. Next is the Opto Fuse.
and it had a little bit more stability and a little bit more height under it, and it did have a very slight amount of fade at the end. Next is going to be one of my bread and butter discs, the Champion Cobra, which really flies more like a rock than in comparison to a DX Cobra. More stability, more fade, kind of my in the middle disc. And then lastly, the VIP Gatekeeper, which I use for hyzer approaches.
Relatively stable, good disc. So as we work our way up, going to go into the fairway driver department. Fairway driver department from least stable to most stable. So my least stable is the Maverick. I got the Lucid version here. I also have the Lucid X and another Lucid version of this. I can't say enough about the Maverick. I can snap it and it just goes straight, and it has such a nice late turn over to the right. You can snap it with a ton of hyzer and just make it do a straight shot. Definitely a very effective disc. New disc for me, just got this from Kevin Gleason, is the Vandal, the Trilogy 2019 Challenge disc. This is a very nice disc, like to snap it on hyzer, nice straight shots. It'll flip over for a little bit and still come back with a little bit of fade, with very little effort. So it's a very handy disc. I've really gotten some good use out of it so far. What's up, M? Next disc is the Escape. The Escape is a disc that I started using probably 6 months ago, and it is just a multi-use disc. You can put a ton of hyzer on it, and it just glides forever. You can snap it straight, and then what I'm exploring now is with some angle use is anhysering it, just long turnover shots with it. The Escape really flies pretty close to where you want it to go. Got Emmett here to help me. Yeah, you stand right here for me, okay? And I'll tell you when to give me the blue one. The next one is the Lucid Convict. This disc is the Page Pierce 4-time. Not that one. This one. The Lucid Convict. And this disc, you can snap it. And at first I couldn't tell what it was going to do, because it would snap, it would come over, but always the end comes back with a very consistent fade. I don't throw much sidearm, but if I did throw with forehand, and it's mostly like 150, 200 foot shots, maybe slightly more, I would use the Convict. That would be my go-to for those type of up shots. All right, up next is going to be the Latitude Opto Explorer. This one is my stable fairway driver. Basically same flight numbers as a stable T-Bird. Pretty much just gets to the left for me. I know once they beat in, they go straight and all that other stuff, but for me, I'm using it right now as a strong hyzer disc.
All right, we're going in that same order. The first disc you'll see here is the Lucid Maverick. This thing is a beautiful disc, great for throwing in the woods. Slight hyzer release, turned over, slightly to the right, zero fade. Up next is the Vandal. And the Vandal had a nice line on it, a slight over, and then a little bit of fade at the end. Very smooth disc to throw. Up next is a disc I personally love. Good angle control disc. Seems to glide forever. and that is the Escape. Up next is the Lucid Convict. Another easy disc to throw. It comes out, feels like it's turning over, always seems to come back. And then lastly is kind of my fairway driver upshot hyzer disc, which is the Explorer, Opto Explorer.
Our next one is right here. Next one is the Innova Star Katana. The Innova Star Katana. I have a whole bunch of katanas. I really like katanas. This is the first out of the distance department. Can snap it with a lot of hyzer, and it turns up, and then it has a little bit of fade at the end. I can probably throw the katana. It's probably one of my furthest throwing discs. It gets up and gets out. It's a fast disc, very good disc. All right, our next one is the Lucid Trespass. I'm really getting used to using this one. At first I didn't quite understand it. It sits pretty much with the katana. I can snap it straight, long, or I can put a ton of hyzer on it and play a nice hyzer with it as well. All right, the next, as we get more stable after the Trespass, I have the Ballista, the Opto Ballista Pro. This one has been the absolute bomber. I got it in like a 168 plastic. As I get older, I'm starting to use some lighter plastic. And this one, I can probably throw the furthest. I have one like this and a pink one. And those things are just, I can snap them over, basically do a huge flex shot with them. And I'm probably hitting somewhere in the 380 to 400 foot range with those. Up next is the Lucid Raider. This is probably my newest disc to the bag. I got two of those recently. Extremely stable. Have to snap them like super hard, but very dependable. A very dependable fade on them. Can try to snap them over and do a flex shot. Really nice. And then something that stays in my bag is the Star Destroyer. Just like the katana, I probably have 4 or 5 of these. Hang on, bud. So I have 4 or 5 of these. Smile. This is Emmett. And those things are so dependable. That one's like a medium beat in. I can snap it, it goes over for a while, comes back. It's one of my furthest flying discs, all depending upon the wind variables. Speaking of wind variables, 2 discs that might go in my bag if it's really, really windy, and go into that long-range driver department, but not necessarily being used for that, are the Fusion Enforcer or the Excalibur. Both these are just going to be used because it's so windy into a headwind that I just need something that's going to
I like this
very
so
consistently.
shiny.
As far as other things, I always keep water, try to keep water in my bag, my phone. This bag is the Latitude Core bag. It is a nice bag. I wouldn't say it's that great for tournaments. Like it's good for more of the casual rounds because it won't carry everything that I need for that. So when I go to tournaments, I often use the Revolution bag still, the Carolina team one, which is somewhere over there. Well, anyway, I hope that you have enjoyed this in the bag. I'm going to try to keep it simple because that's how we operate. Oh yeah, we have a whole nother warden. What do you think? I basically keep 2 to 3 backups of every single one of those discs.
I found it over here.
All right, working through the distance drivers from least stable to the most stable. First disc here is a Star Katana. And this bad boy really kind of got over and just kept on kind of cruising over to the right on me. But it does get great D. Excellent disc, very dependable. Don't have to throw it super hard. Same really with the Trespass here. Very similar. Can really crank it up, flatten it, straighten it. Pretty good disc, really getting to know it well. And the Ballista Pro, Opto Ballista Pro here has really become my bombing disc. I throw that further than pretty much all the discs. The Destroyer is right next to it, which is next. Very dependable. Star Destroyers have not left the bag. Very dependable flight, very dependable fade at the end. Can always get good distance out of them. And probably the newest distance driver to my bag is the Lucid Raider. And this disc, I'm using it pretty much just for hyzer shots or headwind shots right now. But
Big skip into the
definitely a nice addition to the bag. All right, here we have the Excalibur, and this puppy dog is just gonna be a hyzer headwind disc for me. And the same with the Enforcer, which is coming up next. Can't really throw them very far, but I can use them if there's headwind and they just fade hard to the left.
So as you can see, I'm not really married to a particular company. Since I've gotten back into disc golf, I've liked the Dynamic and Latitude and Westside stuff, but I still bag Destroyer, still bag Katana, still bag that Champion Cobra, and I still throw DX Cobras as well for turnover discs like I do with the Fuse. So working between Innova and the Trilogy stuff, it's all really good stuff, you know. Checking out my drives, gonna go pick up this stuff, and thanks for checking it out.